Have you ever lost your job? It seems like if you work in corporate America long enough, at some point you're going to lose your job. In fact, in my professional career, I lost my job twice. One time when I was in my 20s, and the second time when I was 52. Both of them were hard, to be honest with you. But I want to talk mainly, I'll share maybe a little bit about when I was younger, but mainly want to speak with you or talk to you about when I lost my job when I was 52. I was working in human resources, and I knew that we were going to have a layoff. We had lost some funding. And again, I knew there was a good chance I was going to lose my job. So, time came. President came and got me, pulled me back to his office. When I got there, the CEO was sitting there, which I didn't think was a good sign. And I knew they were either going to tell me I was keeping my job or I was being let go. And again, I knew this was going on, and so I was somewhat mentally prepared. But when they said the words that I was losing my job, I took it really hard. In fact, I started crying. The tears just started flowing. I was actually probably bawling right there in front of the president and the CEO. And I was so embarrassed. But looking back at it, I guess I don't feel as bad as I did initially about that, because I came to realize that losing your job is it's a loss. And I think it's okay to grieve. You go through the normal grieving processes of losing someone or something. And I was losing a job that I had been in for over 10 years. I was not going to be working with friends and coworkers that I'd been working with for years and years in an industry that I loved. And so it was hard. So I just want people to know that it's okay if you've lost your job, that it's okay to grieve. I think there's some pros and cons of losing your job in your 50s, and that's what I want to share with you here today. I think one of the pros of losing your job in your 50s is that you have a much, much, much bigger network. So you've had many more coworkers, many more managers, and that you can leverage to try to find that next position. So again, that's one of those pros that you have that somebody that's younger doesn't have. One of the other things that I think you have if you lose your job when you're older, later in life, is that you're much more resilient. You've been through a lot more. You know how to problem solve better. And I think it's easier from that standpoint. Additionally, you're probably in a hopefully better financial situation if you lose your job in your 50s versus like when I was in my 20s. When I was in my 20s and I lost my job, my former husband had gone to graduate school, and it wasn't long after he had graduated, and we had an enormous amount of debt, of school debt. And it was much more urgent that I find a job right away than when I was in my 50s, because I had saved some money and I could make it for a while. I had paid off some things, and so I was just in a much, much, much better financial situation. One of the cons, I would say, of being laid off in your 50s is ageism. And while I worked in human resources and I'm very familiar with employment law and very familiar with uh, age discrimination and the laws surrounding that, I think it happens. I think it's a reality. And you just have to accept that reality. You're not probably going to change it. So you just need to navigate it as best you can and leverage your experience. So when you go into interview, is trying to leverage what you bring to the table that perhaps somebody that's younger doesn't. For me, I was able to leverage my network and found my next position through actually a family member. I had a cousin that worked somewhere, and she knew they were going to be adding a human resource position, and she notified me of it. I applied for it, and I got the job. So I really didn't have a gap between losing my job and starting my next job. I was only at that job for about 2 years. And that's when I ended up quitting corporate America, which will be another video that I will be sharing. But for today, I just wanted to share with you my experience and some of the pros and cons of losing your job when you're older versus when you're younger. I hope this has been helpful to you. I'd like to know if you've ever been laid off in your job. What was your journey? What was it like? Were you able to leverage your network? Um, had you been like me, maybe laid off when you were younger and then when you're older? And was it easier from a resilient and a financial standpoint when you were older? I'd really love to know. I'd really love to get to know you a little bit better. So please comment. Tell me about your journey, what you went through, or maybe what you're currently going through. I'd like to help you if I can. And in the meantime, I want you to take care, and I want you to know that I'm always rooting for your success. Have a great day.